Good afternoon to all. I'd like to call the meeting to order. We would like to begin by acknowledging that we're in Treaty 1 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. My name is Ron Narrett. I'll be your chairperson this afternoon. Introducing the panel members is to my left is Lynn Nesbitt, and to her left is Marcel Larondeau. Representing the city from the assessment department is Roddy Pontanella, okay, and our recorded secretary is Belen Rojo. This afternoon we'll be hearing an application for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. Matters for which revision is requested has been described in each application, and we will limit discussions to those matters. The statements that the assessor or the applicant make at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anybody speaking on these matters must be sworn in. Please be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered market evidence by the board. The board is appointed annually by City Council and is independent along with the city administration. We make decisions based on the evidence provided at this hearing and issue a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decision in respect to application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included in the board's order. In respect to the hearing this afternoon, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. It'll be then the assessor's testimony followed by questions, and then it'll be the other applicant may have, and then it'll be the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each party will have the opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all evidence about the application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket this afternoon. The session will close after all applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private to make its decision. You've received the order by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live stream recorded and will be part of the public record. We'll ask our secretary to swear in the assessor, and we will go to Marion Street. So come on up, and we'll have you either affirmed or sworn in.
Yeah, I confirm.
Okay. We'll just have a seat right there.
Sure. Did you need me to be closer to this microphone? Or?
Oh, no, that was for somebody else,
Okay.
for one of the assessors that did, not part of hearing.
No worries. I'll project my voice.
Okay.
Sorry, did you get a copy of our, oh yeah, you did. Please state your full name.
Roddy Pontanella?
Please swear the evidence about to present the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
It is.
Thank you. I'm sorry, if you will affirm.
I'll affirm.
Please state your full name.
Andrew John Yankuski.
And you affirm the evidence about to present the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do so.
Thank you.
Okay, as I said, we will hear from the assessor first, and they will take you through the property, and you may ask questions at that time.
Okay.
Okay. So, Mr. Assessor, take us through the property, please.
Okay.
Okay, so the property in question, the roll number is 0607 508 2000. The civic address is 218 Marion Street. The current value under dispute is the 2020 assessed value for $363,000. We have the property currently listed as a commercial retail store. We have 2 buildings associated with it, 2 premises. We have 2 stories associated with it. The actual year that it was built is 1913, and the effective age is, we have 2 buildings. One was built in 1913, one was built in 2015. And we have the effective year built overall is 1974. For the wall height, we have in our records 8 feet and 17 feet. We have 4,163 square feet for the land area, 1,427 square feet for the plan area, 720 square feet for the basement area, the gross floor area of 2,662 square feet, leasable area we have 1,998 square feet. And I actually do have a recommendation I can offer on the property. Would you guys like copies of the recommendation for yourselves?
If you don't mind.
Sure.
We'll show it to the applicant and to the panel members, and then we can discuss that.
So once everyone's oriented themselves with the paperwork there, we did a recalculation on the area. We adjusted for the mezzanine and we adjusted for the investment rank. We give an adjustment to the cap rate. So we had originally 1,451 square feet at $16.33 and another premise at 547 square feet at $11.49. And when we applied the city parameters, we had a market value of $363,000. And in the recommendation, we have reduced the basement area from 547 to 529 square feet under the recommendation side on the right. We had all the same city parameters except we adjusted the cap rate by 0.5% to 8.1%. Once again, that was due to the investment rank. And we came up with a market value of $329,000.
Okay. Are you in agreement at all? I mean, you can either accept it or
Yeah,
refuse it.
I'm not in agreement.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's fine. Do you have any questions in regard to what you just heard?
No, I had an opportunity to speak with the assessor by phone last week, so we
Okay.
discussed it, and I'm pretty clear on the rationale.
All right. Ms. Nesbitt? Questions?
Okay, so I see the adjustment made, and that's the 529.
Yep, and so I highlighted, just for the sake of clarity, I highlighted the adjustment on the basement square footage and
Right.
the cap rate.
So those are the only two changes?
Those are the
basement
only
and
two
cap rate?
changes, yep, so we kept the rent rates the same, shortfall was the same, vacancy, these are all model-driven parameters that were, I felt were applicable to the subject property.
Okay, can you explain then the cap rate?
Yeah, so what we did is that we increased.
And also your, the square footage, or the rates per square foot.
So what we did is we took a look at the building plans, the most recent building plans associated with the property. And I had a discussion with the owner. And after reviewing all of the material, we felt it was, that we had incorrectly assessed the mezzanine area, or the second floor area. Originally, we had it at 547 square feet. But we felt an adjustment just to reflect what's accurately currently in the subject property. So that's where that adjustment came from. It was based on the permit information in regards to the building plans,
Okay.
as well as the evidence submitted by the applicant, which pointed us to the square footage and the building plans that were included.
Okay.
And then the cap rate, it was an adjustment to the investment rank. So we felt that the cap rate was a little bit, came in a little bit low for the property. And so based on the current use of the property and the ability for a tenant to come into the space and what it would take to fit up a new tenant into the space, we concluded it was reasonable to increase the cap rate to reflect, it's kind of a unique building in that sense that it's built for a purpose right now, so it's very built specifically for the use that it's currently having. So to kind of reflect what it would take to bring a new tenant in and fit it up, we increased the cap rate to,
What is the building used for?
it's currently being used as a studio, a production
okay.
studio, yeah. So from my understanding, it's the appellant might provide some more clarity on the matter, but I believe it's a music studio, recording studio.
And did you physically go down?
I didn't have a
and look at the
chance.
property?
No, unfortunately, it was one of the properties that, just with the volume of appeals that are coming through the office right now, I never had a chance to go and inspect it personally. So all the information was in conjunction with the evidence that was submitted by the appellant. He submitted some photo evidence, his plans, and then the plans that he submitted, I also cross-referenced them with the plans that we have access to,
Right,
and they were all accurate, so I just
Okay.
went off all the information that I had.
okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Lavrondeau?
Did you mention basement? Or was I just
No,
hearing things?
no basement.
You talked mezzanine.
Mezzanine, yeah, so there'd be a mezzanine space.
Any of your comparables have mezzanine on it?
No, so it appears all of the comparables would be for the main floor. These would be main floor rents that I'm showing here.
Where do you get the mezzanine rate from?
The mezzanine rate would be model driven, so it would be within the model that's used by the city, and then it calculates a applicable rate on this space.
So it's model.
Model driven, yeah.
The whole thing is model, correct?
The entire thing is model driven on the original assessment, and then on the recommendation side, my adjustments were made, and the rest is all model driven. So using city parameters.
Except for the only thing changed that's not model is your cap
Is the
rate.
cap rate, that's right, yeah. So I increased the cap rate to reflect the investment rank of the property.
So where'd you pull the 1633 from? On your
The 60.
comparables, I'm seeing 12s, 14s, one high
Yep.
at 23,
Yeah,
which
just
is
to show a
which is
range.
a 10-year.
Yeah, so what I did is I took a range of all the, that were within the surrounding neighborhood, just to show the different lease rates that are being currently pulled in that neighborhood directly, or I should say as close as I could to the subject property. And then some of the comparables are higher than what we have valued, but again, I would say they're a little bit of a higher level of a property type. And so I felt this accurately reflected the range that's currently being pulled in that neighborhood.
So the two would be, the 230 Marion would be high,
Yes, that would be.
and 245 Marion, is that correct?
Yep, that would be, 245 would be a mid-range, a newer building, but it wasn't fit up as, to the level that the 230 Marion Street would be. 230 Marion Street would be one of the more newer buildings in the neighborhood.
And then, when you say 1974, how much of the building was built in 2015?
From my understanding, there was an addition in the back that was built on, and I believe it was if I remember correctly, it was a 700 square foot addition. It was built onto the back of the space. I guess it would have been back in 2015 when it was put up. And so again, we had 1913 as the year that the actual building itself was built. The addition in 2015, it got blended into an effective age of 1974.
And you got your wall heights 8 to 17, so 8 is the mezzanine then?
I would believe so, yes. And then
And
17 would
17
be
is just-
the main floor going all the way up. So,
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, I thank you. I just have one question.
Sure.
Your initial cap rate was 7.4, and you went up to the 8.1,
half a percentage.
and the reasoning,
Well, it was investment rank, so what that means is that we took into account that the building has been built for the very specific purpose of running the music studio in the building, and that it would not necessarily be the best investment quality commercial property for a buyer, because they would be aware that there would be a lot of modification that would need to be done. And so what we did is that we increased it by half a percentage on the cap rate, just to reflect the hurdles that the owner would face should they put the building onto the market. They would have to make some concessions on that, seeing as that, again, it's built very specific for a music studio production.
so as we all say, this is totally model-driven, and you haven't had a chance to really look through the property, or
Mhm.
did you go past the property at all?
I did, yeah, I did an
Okay.
outside, I did a drive-by
So
inspection.
you know what the outside
Yeah.
cladding is about?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I did a drive-by inspection, I just didn't get a chance to connect with the owner to have a proper, full inspection of the
Okay.
building, but.
I thank you. The floor is yours, sir.
Okay. Well, I did bring in some additional evidence, if you will accept. I brought 5 copies. Is that possible? to send it
Well,
out?
it's new evidence, and we don't, you can, our secretary will grab the information, okay? And we'll give a chance to, because it's new evidence, it's not really, you
Okay.
know, okay?
I
But,
can submit it viva voce, but I just thought it might make it clearer. It's just
you
responding
know
to the
something,
comparables.
we'll hand it out,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
And we'll give the assessor a chance to look at it,
Okay.
and if it's acceptable, we can deal with it, all right?
Okay. Do you want me to explain what I put on, or hand it out first?
Hand it out first,
Okay.
and yeah, because you're familiar with it, we're not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nor is the assessor.
Sure. I'll let you have a moment to look as I'm
Okay,
explaining my
yeah,
motion.
yeah.
Okay.
Maybe in the meantime, you can maybe discuss it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Just tell you a bit about my building.
Well, no,
Or-
just tell us about what you have there.
Oh, what I have there?
Yeah.
Okay. So I took a look at the comparables that were listed, because that was the evidence that I received from the city. And so everything on there is relating to the comparables. I just went to Google Maps and I took a screenshot of each of the comparable properties.
Okay,
And then
so
I
this
just
is almost like a rebuttal.
Yeah.
A
Essentially, I guess you
rebuttal
would
in
consider it.
regards to the property,
comparables.
the comparable rents.
Exactly.
So that is admissible.
It's admissible, yeah, I think it's okay.
Okay, so.
Yeah, okay, there we go. Good.
Okay, good.
Thank you for characterizing.
Okay. Now you can take us through
Okay.
this. Just the rebuttal
Just
in
a rebuttal.
regards to
Okay, start with that.
rents.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, so I took a
And-
look at the comparables. Of course, feel free to jump in at any point if I'm off topic or whatever. And so you'll see that the first page just lists the information that I found on the city's website. That's
Yeah.
that's just there for the
Yeah.
purpose of linking each of the images.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to take you through, so 208 Marion Street is the property next door to my building, so it's certainly proximate. It is a strip mall. And my contention with that property is that it is constructed explicitly for the purpose of renting. It's a multi-unit property with multiple front entrances. Steel beam and brick construction does appear to be the method of construction, which differs from my wood construction building, designed to be rented. The next property here I have is 245 Marion Street. This one's a little bit of an outlier. It is the former Dutch meat market, which burned to the ground in 2002 and is replaced by this more modern building. To my knowledge, it was never a residential building converted to commercial purposes, and so it was explicitly a commercial building when it was Dutch Meat Market, and now that it's in its rebuilt form, it's a doggy hotel or something like that. Next property, 182 Goulet Street. It was listed on the brief as 192 Goulet, but when I looked and did a little bit of investigation, 192 Goulet is a unit in 182 Goulet. So this is another strip mall. Once again, my contention is this is a newer building. It is of fundamentally different construction from my building and designed with multiple front entrances as a multi-unit lease building for owner, property manager. The next one is 121 Enfield. Okay, so this was listed on the brief as 194 Taché. When I looked it up, it's actually a unit in 121 Enfield, so this is another multi-unit. I don't know if this would be characterized as a strip mall, but it is clearly a commercial building. You'll note if you look at the picture that there are multiple entrances for separate units within the building. Appears to be wholly commercial in nature. And then 230 Marion Street is the final one that I have here. This is 2 doors down from me. I saw it go up the year before my property had its renovation or construction. And so this is a 2015 structure, also a strip mall with multiple entrances, steel beam construction, etc. So that's my rebuttal. I guess my essential point is that I feel that the nature of these properties is fundamentally different as it's the materials and construction of them, and so that's what I'm disputing here.
Questions of the rebuttal information?
Well, I do not dispute the fact that it is a very specifically built property. That much is for sure. I would say that many of the properties that I looked at that were built that are sort of converted commercial commercial housing units that have been converted into commercial uses. Predominantly, the majority of the data that I looked at was owner-occupied, so it's very difficult to have accurate lease information when the properties are owner-occupied. And so I felt I was pushed a little bit to just show the ranges of leases that are within the neighborhood as best as I could. They might not be the exact same property type, but it gives an idea of a range of leasable rates from the neighborhood. And again, it's trying to find one of these that has good quality data is very difficult when it comes to looking for the evidence. So I did the best I could, just based on the property type. It's a unique property type in that sense.
All right, I thank you. Ms. Neptut, any questions?
Yeah, so you mentioned that this is a former residence that's been converted.
Yes, it is.
Do you have a picture of the outside?
No, I didn't include a picture of the outside. I know it was in the city's brief.
It was in the city?
It was. I didn't get a chance to contain forward my brief, but there is evidence, photo evidence. It's on page 8. It begins, and so on page 8 you have a blank overlook of the parcel in question of the subject property, and then there's an overhead view underneath, and then following on page 9 you have the images of the subject property.
Okay, so
So driving
is
down
it
there.
the one just to the left of the sign in the top
That's right,
one?
on the top one, yep. And then in the center picture, it would be in the center of the frame, and then in the bottom picture, it'd be driving, I guess that would be east on Marion. So as you're driving by the property.
So is it immediately beside that 208 Marion strip mall?
Yeah, exactly. I'm right next door to it. Those are my
Okay.
neighbors.
That's right. So it gives an idea. I tried to come up with data that was as close as possible to the subject property, but again, these property types are a little difficult to find accurate data because the majority of them are used as owner-occupied spaces.
Mm-hmm.
So normally the people live in the space and then run whatever business it is they run out of the space. So.
Mm-hmm. It is quite different in characteristics. from the
Characteristically,
strip
it
mall.
is. It's these properties are a little tough to approach in a value sense because they can swing either way. You know, in the sense that they are residential properties, so they're not necessarily commercial in use, but at the same time they can be fitted up to be commercial in use. But when you fit them up to be commercial in use, because the square footage sometimes it's on the lower end in economies of scale, it's difficult to put a value onto the square footage per square foot just because of the use of the space.
Thank you. Thanks, I'm glad to see the picture. Yeah.
I thought about including one, but I thought.
No, that's fine, it is.
From the city.
No,
Yeah.
I would have got to it, but then
Yeah,
we ended up
yeah,
going
yeah.
roundabout way to yours.
Thank you for
Okay.
including the photos.
Welcome.
Thanks, Lynn. Mr. Laurando?
No, I'm good.
Okay. It's a fairly small lot, I noticed. It's only, 4,200 square feet, right? So was it 40 by maybe 100,
Yeah,
roughly?
roughly, yeah.
Roughly. We're ready for your presentation.
Okay. Once again, steer me if I'm getting off track on anything, please. I'm sure you will. Just a little bit about my building. So I purchased it in 2012 to operate my business, which correctly is a recording studio and post-production facility, so we deal with sound. The building, as you've already been told, that I originally was in, which is the old house building that had been converted at some point to a commercial building. I believe it was a series of small hair salon barbershops before I got into it. That is where, it's about 1,100 square feet of my business, and that's where I ran the business out of from 2012 until 2016 when the new addition was completed. I constructed the new addition, as you've already heard, for a specific purpose called mastering. It requires a very acoustically treated acoustical environment room that's specifically built to be as accurate sonically as possible. So that means you need a big open air space. I had a structural engineer course involved when submitting plans to the city and an architectural designer. And essentially I made it clear to them that what I valued was the acoustic of the space. So there are no demising walls. It's an acoustically treated space and it's used specifically for mastering, the one service that we offer at the studio. The mezzanine area is an additional seating area and kind of an observation deck area, so that when we do have more clients than we can comfortably seat in the main floor mastering area, they can go up top and they can hear what's going on with their mixes up there. So that's the purpose of the building. It is, I guess, technically, according to the city, a separate building. I viewed it as an addition because I just wanted to, in the old building, because it's such an old design, it has a lot of plaster and lath, it doesn't have modern electrical. It was pretty challenging. I had to work within those constraints for a number of years, so I just wanted to have one modern area in the studio where we could operate acoustically as possible. It's quite challenging when you can't We have a small kind of living room type area that I do most of my other work in. When you first come into the building, there's a living room area. I believe there's a picture of it there. It'll be on your, let me just see if I can find it here on the page.
Almost like the second page, I think.
I believe so. Let me just double check it here. Sorry, I just have it in mind. Yeah, the second page, the top image, you can see that that's when you first come into the building. Once you're past the entrance, that sort of was an old living room, I believe, and that's the biggest area. It's about 465 square feet, and it's the closest that I had in the old building to an acoustically appropriate room to do my work. So the majority of the work that I do has been done in there. With the new addition, it allows me to offer a better level of service to my clientele. So that was completed in 2016, and I guess in terms of my concerns here, I guess one concern that I had was materiality, I would call it. So I was here in 2018, just a little over a year ago, where I had a reassessed value of $277,000, which I thought at the time was fair, based on the new construction that I had done. So I would consider that a material change to the property. We had an old house property. I added 721 square feet, for the new addition on there to get that one big open room. And so it made sense to me that there would be an increase in the value of the property accordingly. I'm not really clear on material changes to my property that would warrant almost $100,000 increase in the value of it. So that's one of my disputed concerns. The second one that I've already brought to your attention is the comparables. So we've already discussed that, so I won't get into that in greater detail. One other thing I would bring to your attention in terms of the set of photos that I have brought forth today, which does relate to the choice to construct that extra building and some things about the old building, is if you look at the basement pictures, clearly it's not in a leasable condition, even if where I want to lease this out to somebody, which is clearly not what I'm doing. I'm running my business out of it. If you look at the bottom picture, which contains some of the ductwork in the furnace, you'll see there are some dark vertical lines on the left wall there. That's angle iron reinforcement. The foundation of my old building is cracked. So when I was looking at ways to expand the building and modernize it for the 2015 to 2016 renovation, I spoke with my structural engineer and architectural designer, and unfortunately I was not able to build up onto the building, which would have been less expensive, and utilize the existing building because the foundation won't support it. I was actually advised by a number of builders to demolish the old building, given its age and its state. Unfortunately, that's not something I could afford to do, so the solution that we came up with was a pile and grade beam addition on the back, which is the 700 square foot addition, and then to reinforce the existing building's walls with angle iron, which you'll see a little bit in that one photo. I know it's not super clear, but you can see the dark vertical lines are angle iron that's basically, and if you look closely, you can see a bit of a horizontal crack in that wall. I probably should have taken a better photo, but it's something that I did want to bring to the board's attention. So that's just my rationale for the approach that I took in terms of building the new structure and the purpose for the new structure. Once again, and I think that the city has already made this clear, that it is a purpose-built space. My belief is that if I were to lease it out, or if someone were to lease it out, demising walls would need to be built. There would probably need to be other things done to the new building to make it desirable to a tenant, unless they happen to be a recording studio. My understanding is there are only a few of us that have premises here in the city. There are approximately 5. Including myself, that have physical premises here in the studio.
So what do you think? So what do you think the value should be?
I think the value should be what it was assessed at the last time I appeared before here, which was $277,000. To me, that seemed fair. We came from $162,000, which was the previous amount that the city had on for the value, and that increased to $277,000 in 2018, the last time I appeared before this board. And to me, that seemed fair. I was anticipating an increase in value, of course, because I did make a material change to the structure.
I thank you.
Thank you.
Questions?
No, I have no questions for him.
Okay, Ms. Nesbitt?
No, I have no questions. Thank you.
Mr. Laurando?
No.
Just one. When you built the addition on the back, 700 square feet in 2016.
2016 was completed.
Yeah, 16. Did you take out a building permit or anything like that, or what did it cost you?
Yeah, it cost me $162,000 to my builder to build the structure. And I did take out a building permit. It was a multi-year process that I went through for that.
Do you live in this building?
I do not. There is a bedroom upstairs because we do push some pretty hard deadlines, so I
Yeah.
do sleep in the building occasionally.
Okay. So, but Is it self-contained, like is there washrooms and?
Yeah, I would draw
Is there a
to-
kitchen sink and?
Yeah, the kitchen, we put in the new addition because the old building had, we now use it for a storage room, but it's the transitional room between the two buildings. It had a pretty turn-of-the-century style kitchen, which was pretty nasty, so we have put a modern kitchen at the back of the mastering suite, so we could have a modern clean area. But I would point out that there's no separate washroom for the new building. So the washroom, there's only a single washroom in the building, and that washroom is on the main floor of the old building, of the existing building.
Parking behind the building?
3 stalls.
3 stalls? Yeah, okay. Summation?
For summation, I feel that given the use of the building itself, given some of the market data that I had a chance to take a look at, 363 might not have been the most appropriate, but I believe with the recommendation that I made to adjust the cap rate and to adjust the square footage on the mezzanine space, that we did come to a value of 329 that I felt was appropriate for the space. And given the market data, I would suggest that that would be the right value for the property type.
Final word?
Well, we're just, once again, I'm reiterating, but I feel that the city had an opportunity to place an appropriate value on the property in 2018, when I was before the board previously. 277,000 I feel was a fair amount. I am disputing the evidence presented by the city today on the basis of materiality. 2 points of materiality. One, there's been no material change in the building since the last valuation, and I don't know that the respondent has demonstrated there's been a material change in the marketplace for my type of building, for this type of building. I believe the city has instead pointed to properties that are fundamentally different from my property in terms of their purpose and construction, and so that would warrant not comparable for value purposes.
I thank you very kindly for your presentation and results very soon.
Okay, I can
Okay.
sit down.
Thank you.
Do I just leave then?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to stick around, that's fine.
Okay, yeah. Would there be a result today, or I just go?
Oh, no,
I'll just do
it'll
it
be
so I can
mailed,
leave then.
you know,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay,
it'll be
great.
mailed to you.
Right,
So
just
you're
take-
free to go.
That's good, thank you so
You're
much.
free to go.
Yeah.
I think, Mr. McCubbin, do we want to do yours and get you out of here? Or do you want to wait?
It's entirely up to you.
No,
I
it's-
can wait.
It's entirely up to you,
Yeah,
because you're
I
going to
can
be
wait.
a few minutes.
Let them wait.
I'll wait until the end. We
Okay.
just have one appellant, so.
You wanna go ahead, or-
All right,
No, we'll give him some time.
well, I don't think he'll be coming.
No, probably.
All right. So we're gonna go to 3311 Loveland Boulevard.
Please state your full name. And you have firm evidence to represent the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Whenever you're ready, you can take us through 3311 Loveland Boulevard, whenever you're ready.
Okay. So the file number for the subject property under appeal is 19-1435. The roll number is 0100-091-5500. The civic address is 3311 Roblin Boulevard. The property, for the property description, we have it currently zoned at, or currently tucked as a commercial retail store. There's 2 buildings that we have associated with the subject property, 3 premises. It's a 1-story building. The 2 buildings that we have 1947 and 1977 for the actual years that they were built. And we have an effective year on each one for 1947 and one for 1977. The wall height is 12 feet. The zoning is C2 commercial. Land area is 4,397 square feet. The plan area is 2,129 square feet. Basement area is 1,274 square feet. We have a gross floor area total of 3,403 square feet. A leasable area of 3,164 square feet. And we have no parking associated with the building. And I do have a recommendation for the building.
Okay, do you want to hand that out?
Sure.
I'll get our secretary to do that. Okay.
So
So
which-
approximate drop of $100,000?
Just about that, yeah,
Okay.
with some of the adjustments that I had made.
Okay, you
So
can
what
take us through this.
Sure, so what we did is we originally had for the income stream, we had 790 square feet at $11.99. We had 1,100 square feet at $11.66. And we had 1,274 square feet that was associated with the basement at $8.48. And so when you go down the parameters for the 2020 assessment, it gave us a market value of rounded $395,000. And so what I did to adjust is I was in consultation with the owner of the property, and I had some questions on the nature of the basement space, on whether or not it was leasable, as we had it at 1,274 square feet at $8.48. So I asked the owner if he would be willing to send me some pictures, as I didn't get a chance again with the volume of appeals currently going through the office. It's difficult to get out and inspect some of these properties. But this was one that I wanted to take a look at for the basement space. So in conjunction with the owner who had sent me some pictures, the space looks to be unleasable. It's perhaps storage at best that the space can be used, but in my opinion, it's definitely not leasable area. And so what I did is I actually removed the basement space from the income stream. So if you look at the 2020 proposed recommendation side to the income stream, 790 square feet, we kept that as it's accurate to how the premise is currently being used and the size of the premise. We adjusted the square footage of the other premise on the main floor from 1,100 square feet to 1,230 square feet, as that's accurate to how it's currently being used and how it's reported in the mailer that was given to us. And we also increased the rent from $11.66 to $12.50. And the reasoning behind that increase was to show that there could be some value in the basement in terms of keeping it as a storage space. Perhaps you can still use it as a complement, or as what we like to refer to as a throw-in to the main floor, but we want to be clear that it's not leasable area, so that's why the decision was made to remove the 1,274 square feet at $8.48. And so what we did is by doing those two adjustments, we increased the potential rent from that main floor premise from $12,826 to $15,375, but we removed the $10,804 of value that the basement was giving. And so all the other parameters were kept the same. They're all the city-driven parameters, and when you go through the income stream and you go down, it brought us to a market value of $299,000.
I thank you. Questions?
No questions, we discussed over the phone,
Okay.
basically.
Are you in agreement?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, we just discussed it over the phone
okay.
an hour ago,
Oh, okay.
and I would
Yeah.
agree to it, but he said just we don't have enough
That's it.
time to figure it out, so let's come here and get
Okay.
to it.
Unfortunately, I was working Friday all the way until 4:30 to try to
Okay.
come to an agreement, but we weren't able to connect.
So
on
you
Friday.
are in agreement?
Yeah.
Okay.
Two
Any
nights.
panel members, any questions?
Not now.
No,
Okay.
not now.
That just took the wind out of my sails.
I think that probably concludes our hearing with you, so you know the results, so, but you'll get confirmation.
Thank you. Quick
Yeah.
questions, it's not a question, it's kind of a, just note, something that I noticed. I had to submit the documents 2 weeks before the hearing, and as far as I understand, the city assessor got those, so he knows what I'm basing my case on. I got the documents 10 minutes ago, so I think it's just a little bit unfair procedure. I would definitely like to have it 2 weeks ago, so I can review and maybe cancel the deal, or I know what they are referring to, because they're not taking the numbers out of the air, right? They build it based on something. If I would have the 2 weeks, I would prepare myself way better to do it properly. Otherwise, if we have no agreement right now, to reply and to kind of refer to what is in here, I can't.
Okay.
How did you submit your document?
I came here and gave documents.
Okay, so they would have told you at that time to come back.
Nobody
next
ever
day.
told me anything at all, so I just came here and got this from you 10 minutes ago. So,
Because there's an exchange period between, you know, the assessment department and you.
so again, nobody ever mentioned that
No.
there's some documents
Okay.
for me to pick up.
The evidence.
I'm sorry?
Maybe he didn't receive the evidence in the exchange, I guess.
Yeah,
No, I
Yeah,
just
so-
basically came, I brought the documents,
okay,
Yeah,
and that's it.
okay,
that's unfortunate.
okay.
Yeah, we have a good
So
story
I
right
do-
now.
and I
So
do
in
wanna-
future, if you're representing other properties, ask
Mhm.
for the
Okay.
exchange.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
All right, thank you. Mr. McCubbin, you may come forward. I think, Roddy, I think you are.
Yeah, I believe that was my only-
I think
The only two
Yes.
that I had.
you are done.
You're done.
I'm
So,
done.
thank
You're
you.
done.
Thank you.
And Mr. McCubbin, you may come forward, and we'll have you affirmed or sworn in, either one.
Everybody?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Forgot, please swear in to affirm.
Affirm.
Please state your full name.
Howard Lindsay McCubbin?
And you affirm the evidence about to present the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Mr. McCubbin, we are gonna go to number 5 on the docket. And you may read the file number, the roll number, and probably state the value.
Fair enough. Thanks, Mr. Chairman. File number 19-2111. The applicant is 5810834 Manitoba Limited. The roll number is 120-124-14000. The address is 308 Morley Avenue. And the owner is the same as the applicant. The roll year we're dealing with, Mr. Chairman, is 2020, the reference date being April the 1st, 2018. The assessed value is $1,318,000. It's class 6C and it's taxable. It's retail strip property, Mr. Chairman, with standalone building at the rear which fronts on Morley. Used to be an old tram station that's been converted into a 2-story office building.
Mr. Chair, was he not asking for this thing to be? If he is, he doesn't have to put all that information
I'm
in.
gonna get,
Okay.
I shouldn't even be hearing it.
Okay.
just some background information.
Okay,
You're
but
not-
you're thinking
So-
the non-compliance?
Yeah, there's, this owner has never been compliant with respect to their income and expense statements, Mr. Chairman. So I would ask that I would request the burden of proof be placed on the applicant for non-cooperation pursuant to section 53(3)B of the MAA, and if a reduction in assessment is in order, that it follows section 54(3.2) of the MAA. Seeing that the owner is not present here today, Mr. Chairman, I would leave it in your capable hands. I'm not gonna, I think there is a section that we can deal with here.
Okay. I think, Ms. Lisbeth, do you have any questions?
Well, thank you for that, but you said it was not returned, so you brought
Correct.
some evidence. Can you just take us quick through that evidence?
Sure.
How you concluded they're non-compliant? Obviously, we're just looking at this for the
Sure,
first time.
okay, you want me to go right to the non-compliant situation?
Yeah.
Sure, so if I can get you to turn to page 12 of my brief, Mr. Chairman. You'll see the envelope with the express post and the actual address of the owner's, the owner's address, which is 292 Ash Street. You'll see it was dated June the 8th, 2018, about the center of the page there. On page 13, you will see that the item was processed, item was out for delivery on the 8th. the 8th, notice card left indicating where and when to pick up the item. The item in transit to post office on the 8th also, item available for pickup, and so on and so on. Essentially, the item was never picked up. Right. So we have no signature, obviously, because he didn't receive the item. For whatever reason, he didn't pick it up. And you see on page 14, it says return to sender, which is the city of Winnipeg. We'll be looking at it.
It was returned because it wasn't picked up.
Because it wasn't picked up after.
And the address is,
The address-
listed in land titles or whatever for the.
Yeah, the address of service is 292 Ash Street, yes. On page 15, you will see the letter that was sent out from the assessment department, in French on page 16. And following that, page 17, 18, 19, the actual income, and 20, sorry, the actual income and expense statements, the blank statements that was included in that express post mail.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Rondeau.
No questions.
Okay, I think we are done. So thank you, Mr. McCullum.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
I think that concludes our hearing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.